Hello again, welcome along. I'm really glad that you could join us, and so many people have actually replied on social media today. I mean, Twitter is good for something, really welcoming the identity of the guest this week. You know, I've seldom had a more popular guy to announce and introduce in the studio, and that's always a very good start, because this man knows a lot of people around the Sheffield area, around the football community, and he's very popular for the kind of guy he is, as well as the kind of player he was, a midfield player for Sheffield United and Rotherham United, fondly remembered not too many years ago, but has been involved in the football scene virtually ever since. And I'm pleased and proud to reintroduce, because it's his second appearance here, Mark Todd. How are you, Mark?
I'm very well, thank you, Alan. Yes, it's lovely to see you. Lovely to see you back live, mate, yes.
Absolutely. That, you know, the last one we did was 2017. It's as long ago as that.
Honestly.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
I've invited you back lots of times. You've always been too busy.
I know, because Thursdays was my football night.
It was,
but now it's Mondays. I'm all right.
I've had more sick notes from this fella than anybody.
Just like the end of my career, mate. Yeah.
But it is good to see you. I mean, I did see you a few weeks ago at Lees Hall Golf Club when I came totally unprepared.
Yes.
Matt Roney said that Sheffield FC were doing a charity golf day.
The Sheffield
Could you
legend.
come and help me host a thing in the evening? And I just said, yeah, fine. Didn't know what I was walking into. No idea.
Well, we'd had a few drinks, hadn't we, mate?
You'd been on it all day. I walked in stone cold sober. I thought, well, I better be professional. I brought my car as well, which is the biggest regret. If I'd have known,
we could have captured you, could we?
Yeah, if I'd have known what sort of night it was going to be, I'd never have brought the car. So walking there, you're all off your heads.
Well, I know, but you know, it's just we were supporting Matt, and it was a great day, wasn't it?
It was good.
Very well attended.
I got away with doing a terrible job because nobody could remember. They were steaming. I mean, it was Joe Root, Chris Wilder, yourself. I had no idea who was going to be. John Beresford.
Johnny Newsom was there,
John Newsom, yeah.
A sprinkling of stars.
It was a very interesting. It was a very interesting evening. But it's good to see you, because there's a couple of things that you and I were talking about that night. One was this adventure that you're getting off the ground, where you make dreams come true, particularly for kids, and we'll talk about that. And it's really festive and very seasonal, because I described you today as being a year-round Santa. Yeah.
Oh, I've had some stick, mate. I've had the elf, I've had the Santa, I've had. Yes, thank you, mate, for that. But, yeah, I quite like it. Because I used to look after my curly hair, so now I'm looking after the beard. Yeah.
You're compensating.
Takes some doing, shampooing and brushing and oiling, and
you're really growing into that part. We'll talk about. Well, I know it's a serious business as well, by the way.
It is, yeah.
And the other thing is that you'd started working for Manchester City, and tell us what that involves.
So I'm part of their youth surveillance, talent ID, recruitment scouting. So part of one of the academy scouts. I'm covering Yorkshire, sort of North Midlands. So yeah, my remit is 12 to 16s, but it can be broader than that based on the assignment, which you know, I'm really glad about, because it just broadens, you know, my experience and my development. You know, it's the first time I've ever been interviewed for a job in all my life. Yes, yeah. I've always been sort of, you know, been given jobs, or you know, been given football contracts. But yeah, I think there was 60 people in for the role, and after 2 interviews, they give me the gig.
Congratulations!
Thank you, mate.
that is you know, 1 in 60 is a really good effort, and because it's Manchester City, and you know, everybody. You know, such a huge club.
It is.
The competition's there. So were all those other 59 people who've been involved in football like you, ex-players?
I didn't get to know.
Coaches?
I didn't get to know. No. Honestly, there's a couple of guys I've met since, because they've appointed 2 or 3 of us. Really good guys. They have a background in recruitment, not necessarily in play as a professional player. Which doesn't matter. There's lots of qualifications you can take, but you know, there's many forms about being able to identify a player, and not just saying that you have to be an ex-professional footballer to do that. Because
how are you identifying them? What is your sort? I know it's a part-time role, but I know you work on it every day, a bit of it every day. So what are you doing during the day?
So basically, either watching clips, video analysis that we do a lot of, and reporting against that on the grass at weekends, or if there's any midweek games. And there's a lot of Youth Cup games recently. But there's a northern group that I'm part of. Great guys, got to know them. Just been at a conference, a global talent ID conference at the Etihad for the last 3 days. So getting to see people face to face was brilliant. Some really great characters in there.
Is all recruitment or a lot of it done online now? How much are you getting out to watch?
I think
players, or would you only do that if you sort of flag up a particular
No. There's plenty of assignments. What I call getting on the grass. I've been on the grass for the last month, watching 6, 7, 8 games and reporting against that. It just depends on the mission, really, Alan. My line manager's Paul McLaren, ex Rotherham, and I think had a little spell at Wednesday as well.
Yes, midfield player.
Yeah, great guy.
Yes.
I mean, I've just been with the guys all week up till yesterday. There was over 70 of us there at this conference, and that's not all of our guys. I mean, the South American guys couldn't get across, but the European guys were there.
How
and
many people do Manchester City have?
Oh, I couldn't actually tell you that, Alan. But I know there was 71 of us.
You won't
in
know
the room.
all of them.
No. But what a great bunch, headed up by some great people. People I know, John Gannon, yes. Gary Worthington, Dean Ramsdale, who I've known a very long time.
Dean Ramsdale, who was at Sheffield Wednesday,
that's right, yes,
in charge of the academy. John Gannon, who I've seen on the train going over to Manchester on his laptop the whole journey, apart from through Doran-Tolby Tunnel.
Yeah, we had a good catch up on Monday night when we were out over a beer or two. So because we were laughing because we were fighting really for the same shirt. Yeah. And we had a laugh about that, but there was such a respect back then, which is only enhanced these days because I admire the work that John's been doing for Man City, particularly in Italy. And I'll be talking to these guys often and learning from these guys because my football development is still fresh in that respect around recruitment. But yeah, the journey continues. I'm absolutely delighted. It's like scoring a worldie. Being at Man City, that's how I feel.
Is it? Have you uncovered any players so far, young players, and at what age, by the way, that you're already proud of and thinking, "Well, we've got one here"?
Well, there's two that stand out, which I'll not name.
No, I don't think you.
But yes, a goalkeeper and a little left winger. I love little players. So yeah, you
were one yourself.
Yeah, I was. I know. Yeah, still we now. Yeah.
5'7".
I know. But yeah, there's some excellent players out there. But the challenge is, how do they get into City? Yeah. So it's me understanding over the next couple of months the levels that will allow players that I see to get in, and how are they going to fit in. Most importantly, how they're going to stay in. Yeah. And that's the challenge for any player that we're going to recommend. Yeah,
because it's like a giant sieve. Because if you're Bristol Rovers or I don't know Rotherham United, you put 100 players through a sieve, and you might get 20 that you think might be able to play for that particular club. At City, you could put 100,000 through, and there might only be
And that's it, that point one. We're looking for that point one, Alan. 99.9, we're ruling out. And that's really the art of recruitment. It's more about ruling ones out than really ruling them in. Yeah. Because that pot's much, much bigger. The guys we're ruling out, unfortunately. But hopefully, they'll find a good level. Yeah. But we're really competing with the best clubs in the world, the biggest clubs in the world. So we're looking for the very, very best talent, and that's the challenge of all the guys in the recruitment team.
It's probably why you've got so many, because you're looking for that diamond, and there's a load of rubble around it, kind of thing. Well, that's disrespectful. I don't mean that. There's a lot of very good players out there, but there's different levels. We'll come back to this during the course of the show because it's really, really fascinating. I know that we're going to talk about. Let's just touch on. The Football Family Effect, which is a network that you're trying to establish to, for want of a better word, be part of this year-round Santa exercise that's my term, by the way, it's not yours.
Yeah, I know.
Effect.
I don't mind, mate, I don't mind. Well, it really started, it started with me, really, a couple of years ago when I kind of had this wee sort of mental health dip. I've spoken about it on LinkedIn. And I have a friend who helps me write up my blogs. He was my colleague at Sheffield United Foundation. He's now touring the world in his motorhome, and I think he's just bought a place in Spain. So hats off to Paddy. But I just wanted to sort of say something on my behalf about how the football family, particularly my family, including my ex-partner, mum to my children, and Oliver, I think they're watching.
Good.
But it was really sort of me just blogging on LinkedIn. I mean, there's a lot of sort of mental health chat on there, and I thought, I'll just contribute, and I just came up with the football family effect, hashtag FFE, and it went from a couple of blogs on LinkedIn to me thinking, do you know something? Let's try and help people who may be suffering too. And through a friend at Aston Swallownest Juniors, we got introduced to a couple of young guys, young boys who were part of that junior football club who were suffering from leukemia. One is 15, one is 10. And I thought, my football family and the effect that could have on these guys, I can do something. So I took Chris Tufty to see young Harrison, and that went quite viral on Facebook. So we went to see him, young Harrison, suffering from leukemia, and then that went down really. That was magnificent. There was tears. We were all crying, and it was just magnificent to see. Tufty was brilliant on the day, and then I took the legend that is TC to see young Freddie. Again, 10-year-old boy, great wee footballer apparently, and he was suffering too from leukemia. So, and then obviously it went on Facebook, and it went on. I put it out on LinkedIn, and it went a wee bit daft really. And lots of people were thanking me for what we were doing, and then I thought, something, I may have something here. So people have reached out to sponsor some stuff, maybe some mascot packages, starting small, and suppose in Sheffield, and getting around maybe some other kids who need a lift and want to, a visit from a legend, or we can take them to the Lane, or we can take them to Hillsborough, But my community sort of background, I can probably, maybe even take this around the country. You just never know. But like I say, we're just about to trademark hashtag FFE. Going to create a wee logo and see where it goes, mate. Yeah.
I can see it being a network across the country, a support network that, if you've got the connections with, I don't know, Birmingham City, Aston Villa, unfortunately there are kids. Is it just kids that you're looking to provide memories for like this, or, adults as well? Like I say, we don't know quite where it's going to go.
No. Alan, we're trying to get the spine of it together, and
it sounds great,
and give it some, real credibility and reach, and but where those wee branches go, we just don't know. But hopefully, they'll be blossoming, and we're making people, children, adults, smile, and giving them a break from whatever issues they may be facing in life, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds very worthy. I wish you good luck with that.
Thank you, mate,
we'll talk a bit more during the show about that. I mean, it reminds me that there was some really terrible, tragic news today about the death of the just 4-year-old son of Gary Stevens, the former Everton
right back. Yeah.
From leukemia.
It's tragic, isn't it?
It's just something beyond words,
Yeah, and as a father, myself, and you've mentioned your boy on the train with Gans, and deal with that, Alan. Deal with that. When I've met Harrison and Freddie's parents, deal with that on a daily basis and try and concentrate on your job and get through the day when you're a wee boy.
Unimaginable.
It is unimaginable. So I'm trying to do is just give them a break from that pressure and that I suppose the sadness really. So hopefully it'll blossom. That's where I want to take it.
Makes football seem trivial by comparison, but it keeps us talking, keeps us occupied, and it's very, very good for our mental health, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Football, even though it plays on it, it plays on it at times. And you mentioned Tufty, as you call him. I wouldn't dare, but that's the Bramall Lane dressing room nickname. Very good to see Chris Wilder back in football management, and not before time.
Fantastic.
Very recently appointed by Middlesbrough. Face value, looking from the outside, that looks spot on ideal to me. How does it look for both parties?
I spoke to him Saturday night for the first time.
Yeah.
I'd seen his interviews. He came across magnificent. You know, we all know what a great personality is. We all know what a great manager he is. And his track record is right there now, isn't it? From every level, from the conference with Halifax, and then he got them promoted to the Blades in the Premier League. And this is a perfect fit for him. You know, it's a club that needs improving. Probably need a bit of a freshness there. He's got a great chairman in Steve, and working with the director of football, Kieran. And you could tell on Saturday night how delighted he was. You know, he was itching to get back in, and you know, I think he'll do a magnificent job. I think he'll freshen things up with Nilly and Matt and Mikey going in too. Got great people around him who he trusts, and yeah, you could tell on Saturday he was absolutely, you know, bang on with this appointment, and I would just wish him well. We're already planning trips up to support him, and yeah, it's good to see him back on the grass, yeah, where he deserves to be.
And with a real shout at getting Middlesbrough at least into the playoffs. I suppose expectations go through the roof when a new man's brought in who's got a track record of achieving what Middlesbrough are looking to achieve. How do you rate their prospects? They're quite close to the playoffs.
I think they're 4 points off it, Alan. I suppose I think there's a big batch there, isn't there, of 10 clubs who think they can get in the playoffs, and those who are in there think that, you know, they'll stay in there. But we know how it changes throughout the season in terms of dips and form and people going on great runs. To him, he'll want to get in the playoffs. I know he will, because he's like that, isn't he? He wants to succeed. But it'll be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. He's got to get to know the players. He's got to understand the squad, what changes he needs to make based on how he wants to play. Well,
January's coming up, and you would imagine that you wouldn't be taking a job there without having discussed that quite thoroughly, what the club's plans are in January with the chairman beforehand.
Yeah.
So there must have been quite a green light shone in that respect.
Yeah, I'm sure he's been given every reassurance about the investment that it requires. Yeah. Along, like I say, working with the Kieran, the director of football. So yeah, I'm sure they'll map out the strategy and the targets and get the job done and get those new players in, because he will want to freshen up, you know, because I think you know, you want to stamp his style, you know, along with Alan, and how they want to play, whether he wants to play eventually the 3-5-2 and another pair of overlapping centre backs.
They're not available, are they? There's no manual that lists overlapping centre backs if you're recruiting, I would imagine. I mean,
Could you imagine Harry? Could you imagine Harry overlapping centre backs? It'd have been shouting and shouting. But it worked, didn't it? And it worked.
Absolutely did, yeah.
You know, it had a difficult second season, of course. That always happens. And he's admitted on camera with his interviews at Middlesbrough, his first interviews at Middlesbrough. Yeah, he's learned some lessons, which is great. I mean, we're never too old to learn lessons, aren't we? So,
well, there's always two sides to a story, and you know, I know there are probably regrets on both sides. I know on Chris's side there are certain regrets. Yeah. And you know, and I'm sure as well, as he's probably said, that he would take responsibility for last season at Sheffield United. Yeah,
because that's the kind of guy he is. You know, he's not going to shy away from that. Yeah. He never shied away in any of his managerial career. I've known him as a player, and I've seen him develop and mature as a manager. And that's probably just part of his development and his maturity into.
Yeah, it's fascinating the rest of the season, because you know, Middlesbrough and Sheffield United are pretty well going to be in direct competition in terms of their ambitions.
Absolutely.
Even the Blades, even at this stage, have ambitions to get promotion. And there's a game coming up on New Year's Day.
12:30 kickoff. Well, I think we'll all still be a wee bit hungover, won't we?
Well, I'll tell you what, in part two, we'll talk about Sheffield United now, how they're going now, prospects for the January window with Mark Todd, but further chat about that intriguing role at Manchester City and that lovely thing that he's doing off the football field. Rejoin us in about 2 minutes. See you then.